All right. Good morning, everybody. Let me turn my volume up. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Center. What's up, Jeremy? Jeremy, you like a military lieutenant.
I was in the Navy for a little bit.
Uh-oh, not the gravy Navy. No.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Lord. I'm glad you got out of that, man. Glad you got out of that. But good morning, everybody. People coming in. Happy to see some new people joining. Appreciate it. Mr. McKenzie, welcome. Welcome, Mr. Alexander. And those who are here for the first time. I think we got a few people who've been here for a couple of times. So let me go ahead and just shock you guys like right off the top. I'm gonna call this carrier. I'm giving away a carrier. He called me and I want to get the requirements, right? So I'm not playing today. People say, well, you never call a carrier, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, here we go, right? People call me out, say, you don't never call no carrier. What? All right, so quit playing on me, right? Stop playing on me. So see if you pick this phone up. He's in Pennsylvania, I think near the Pittsburgh area. And I spoke to him the other day, and I told him I'd bring him to the attention of the group. He's needing a dispatcher, just so you guys be aware. And
please leave your message.
So he's not answering. But so it's Lindsay Transport. I'm reading the text. He has 2 drive-in trailer. He wants to run his driver's regional because he has another dedicated lane that's he's doing what's called hoppers. Hopper bottoms. For those of you who are truck drivers, you know what hoppers are. But this guy needs a dispatcher for the 2 drive-ins. He wants to run the Pennsylvania and the regional area because he wants his drivers to be home every night or every other night. So Pennsylvania, if you look at a map, let's go to a map because he may call me back while we're doing that. So let's go to tools and resources in our back office portal. And let's go down to the key map indicators. So if you look at a map here, he wants to run, he's in the Pittsburgh area, which is also near the Ohio Youngstown area. So let me blow this up a little bit. And a little bit more. Right there. So let's blow that up. Let's blow that up. So this carrier has 2 vans, trailers. He's in the Pittsburgh area. He wants to run regional. So I'm thinking Ohio, West Virginia, maybe a little Maryland, DC, perhaps, Delaware, Jersey. Probably want to stay away from New York, at least go upstate. But and maybe down to Virginia. So he wants to stay in that home every night, every other night, because he don't want his drivers to be gone too long, right? So he called me. I get calls from carriers all the time. The reason I don't share them with you guys is because I go ahead and pre-vet them. So if in other words, if it wastes my time, then it's definitely going to waste your time. So I don't want to give you that added layer of stupidity that you have to go through with the carriers not meeting these requirements or that requirements. When I say you vet a carrier, so let's circle back for those who are here for the very first time, like Mr. McKenzie and all the others, right? So let's circle back. So in our trainings, and give me one second here. In our trainings, we teach you guys to dispatch owner-operators, carriers, truck drivers, right? And you create your own company, dispatch service. You get a business name, business license, or what's called an LLC, perhaps, limited liability company. And then you attach what's called an EIN to that, employer identification number, through the irs.gov website, right? So far, so good. So now you are an official company, right? So whatever state you live in, whatever their requirements are to start a company, a business, you follow that process and you create the business. So now you got your business created, right? Business name, structure, legal structure, EIN. Boom. So now you are official. Then you target or you go after truck drivers. And we show you how in the trainings. We have our self-paced modules and things like that. For those of you, I don't know if those of you who are new, have you gotten approved for access to the back area, to our main portal area? Like Mr. McKenzie, do you have access to this portal area? No? Let me check your name here. Oh, yeah. So I sent an email this morning or yesterday. You should check your spam folder with instructions on how to do that. So, but let me show you real quick. So right here on the website, under Dispatcher 101, where it says step 1, initial email and password setup. This is for you too, Jeremy. You click that step 1, it takes you to this page right here. And let me sign out of mine so it'll literally show you. Let me log out of mine. Okay. So I'm logged out. Okay. So there's a video you can watch on how to do it, but I'm going to show it to you like literally right now. So basically you click this where it says login/sign up. Okay. Click that. And it takes you to this screen right here. Now, what you're going to see by default is a big word, big bold letters that says login, right? Because by default, it assumes you already have a login. But if it's your first time here and you're trying to get a login, you see the sentence under it where it says to set up your members portal email and password, click sign up. So now if you click the sign up link, login is going to change to sign up. If you click that, this is the screen you should be at if you are here for the very first time trying to access our members portal as someone who just enrolled in our course. Okay. Then you just put an email and a password that you want to use to always log into the portal. You may use the one that you purchased with. It may or may not be a business email you have. It may be the purchase email. You want to use that same one. Or you may say, hey, Charles, I paid with PayPal or whatever I paid for with this email, but this is the email that I want to use to log into the portal. If you tell us that, then I say, well, use that email when you come to this screen and then whatever password you hit and then hit sign up. Once you do that, I'm gonna go ahead and log in on mine. Once you do that, you'll get an email saying, hey, you've been approved. Once you get approved, you'll go to step 2, members portal main menu. And it should take you to that same login screen because it's still there for the first time. You will still have to put in your email and password that you got approved for, and then it'll take you to this screen right here. If you see this right here where it says Dispatcher 101 members portal main menu, you're in. Okay. If you don't see this, give me a call or an email. Okay. Because I can step you through that process. So everybody should have my phone number and email, but just in case, it is this here. Okay. So, all right. And then once you're in this area for a brand new person, you got these columns, right? The first column on the far left. Let me say this first. The last 2 columns are just for social media and our affiliate links that you can connect to and get resources from, right? These last 2 columns. So they're not as important as the first 3 columns starting on the left-hand side. The first column where it says start here, it takes you to our orientation. Just a quick video saying, hey, welcome. Thank you for choosing us. We're glad you enjoy. Here's what to look forward to, yada, 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 right? Also, in this orientation page is where you would download your 3 free ebooks that's included with your purchase and the glossary, right? You get those here for free on this orientation page, okay? You can watch the orientation videos like 7 minutes, you know, a standard orientation, right? Go back to the main menu. Next, those of you who already have your business established, because we have some people who join our program who don't have their business quite set up yet, which is fine because we're just a training provider, right? You can come into our training without having your business established, or you can come into the training with your business already established. Either way for us. We're just giving you the skill set that you need, right? So you go to the business setup page and we essentially just talk about what we just talked about earlier about setting your business up. But we give you some resources, business setup, business plan, resources link. So you click these buttons, they anchor down to the location what we were talking about, okay? Just some general information. And then we have links. If you want to use a third party to help you set your business up, you don't want to do it yourself, you can go to these links here. These are actual hyperlinks. You click them, LegalZoom, InkFile, Rocket Lawyer, okay? And then the third button on the first column, we do one-on-one consultations and we have referrals. So if you know someone who wants to join, you can actually get paid for referring people to the program, which is another way to, you know, get some revenue for yourself, right? So if you refer someone to the dispatcher program, we got it for dispatcher and freight broker. But since you are dispatchers, if you refer someone to the dispatcher single member at the current price and they enroll, you get $100. If you do it, if they enroll in a 2-member, you get $150. And I pay you the moment they enroll. I'll call you, say, hey, what do I send this money to? Cash App, PayPal, whatever, right? The only thing that I require, which you guys, most people understand this, but we have a few people that slip through the cracks. So, but most people understand this. The person you referred, right, you have to fill out this form, right, which is right on the screen here. I just popped it open, right? Let me X out of it. The referral form. You open this up. The person you're referring, you put their name, phone number, email, and which program they did it, either the single member or the two people, 2 for 1. And then you put your name as the referrer, right? For your full name, phone number, email, and hit submit. That has to be in my possession prior to the person you refer to enrolling. Does that make sense? In other words, I need a receipt showing me that you referred the person. Because I've gotten people over the 4 years I've been doing this say, hey man, this person joined like 6 months ago. Then I get an email from one of our students say, hey, I referred that person. Okay, where's your receipt? Where's the form? I can't pay you just because you said you referred. We're running a business here, right? So, and I actually got into an argument with somebody about that. I'm like, come on, man, knock it off. We're running a business. So that's that referral, right? So that's the first column, right? So let's go back to our main menu. Now, this second column where it says self-paced modules, this is the meat of the new members training, right? Self-paced. Module 1, get carriers. Module 2, load boards. Module 3, how to book the loads. And module 4, how do you, the dispatcher, invoice your carrier that you're dispatching for your dispatching service. Okay? So, module 1, since we're here, let's go into it. How to get the carriers. You can't dispatch for a carrier, a truck driver, an owner operator until you have one who agrees for you to be their dispatcher. Make sense? So the first module, and remember, you have 90 days self-paced. You can come in there in the middle of the night. You can come in anytime you want to in your 90-day. And your 90-day begins either from your enrollment date or from the day that you got approved to get access to the portal. Okay? So, so this one here is how to get carriers, right? Well, the first step into getting a carrier is to understand what type of truck driver or carrier you want to target first as a new dispatching company. You want to make your entry point or your barrier to entry easy for you, right? And we give you some suggestions. So we say, hey, we want you to focus first on truck drivers who drive certain equipment types, certain types of trucks and trailers. We want you to focus on them. And we call that the three major equipment types, okay? Because, and I'll tell you the reason why in a second, but first I want to tell you what they are, and then I'll tell you why they are, why do we suggest those types. So the three major equipment types, and you'll see a picture of them on the screen here. The first of which is let me define what an equipment type is first. An equipment type is the tractor, this red truck, power unit, or truck, right? This is a tractor, power unit, or truck. And the type of trailer that's coupled to it or connected to it, okay? So the trailer type defines the equipment type. This is a 53-foot dry van trailer connected to this truck. So this is a 53-foot dry van equipment type. With me so far? Guys, okay, everybody's there. Okay, good. And then here's the specs of that 53-foot trailer. The trailer is 53 feet in length. The gross, the GVWR is 80,000 pounds. What does GVWR stand for? Gross vehicle weight rating. That's the truck and the trailer, the gross vehicle weight rating, right? And then the trailer weight, the maximum weight for a dry van is between 42 to 45,000 pounds. Okay? That's the first of the three major equipment types that new dispatchers should begin focusing on initially. I'm not saying you do it all the time. I'm just saying to get started, it'll make your job easier coming into the game, especially if you've never done this before. Okay, so that's number one. The second of the three major equipment types is what's called the reefers, or the refrigerated trailers, or the temperature controls, right? So, and here's a picture of one, kind of close up, and here's a picture of one without being connected to a truck. This is a refrigerated trailer, what we call a reefer, okay? Not the reefer you smoke, but a reefer, right? So, and this unit on the front of the trailer is called a TCU, temperature control unit, okay? What that does, it either preheats or pre-cools whatever being hauled in the trailer, okay? And speaking of which, some of the terms that you call the items that's being hauled in a trailer, some of the terms we use is called commodity, it's called freight, goods, a load, you know, you're hauling loads. What's like when you're booking a load with a broker as a dispatcher, you'll ask the broker, hey, what's the commodity of what we're hauling? What's the commodity? Or you want to know because some drivers only want to haul certain types of commodities or certain types of goods in their trailer. So by you, the dispatcher, asking the broker what is the commodity, if they don't list it on the load board, if they don't disclose it on the load board, you as a dispatcher will want to ask the broker that you're booking that load with for your carrier, hey, what are we hauling? So I can share that with my carrier so that they can decide if they want to book this load or not. Okay? So, so this is a reefer, refrigerated trailer, right? And this unit right here is called a TCU, temperature control unit. So, and this image here is the reefer trailer connected to the truck. So this is a reefer equipment type, okay? And then the specs on that is right here. It's similar to the dry van. It's still 53-foot trailer. It's still GVWR 80,000 pounds. But the maximum weight of the trailer can get up to about 44,000 pounds because you have to compensate for that reefer unit or for that TCU unit on there that has weight because it has a motor in there, it has components, because there's a lot of things going on in that TCU that's helping to keep the goods that are being hauled in the trailer cooled or heated. So this has weight to it. Okay. So so that's the second one. And then the third of the three major equipment types is what's called a flatbed. It's either 48 feet or 53 feet, the trailer is, in length, okay? right here. That's a flatbed trailer. This is a flatbed trailer connected to a tractor, truck, or power unit, okay? So this is a flatbed equipment type. So again, the equipment type is defined by the type of trailer that's connected to the truck. This is a flatbed trailer connected to this truck. So this is a flatbed equipment type. It's either 48 or 53 feet in length. Here are the specs, 48 or 53 feet. GVWR is still 80,000 pounds. The difference here, the weight can be between 46 to 48,000 pounds because you're dealing with a 48-foot or a 53-foot trailer. So the weight varies depending on the size of the trailer and the length of the trailer, okay? Are there any questions about the three major equipment types that new dispatchers should focus on starting out for your dispatching service? No questions, okay. The reason why we suggest new dispatchers do this is because these equipment types are out here on the roads the most. You see them on any interstate. Throw a rock on I-75, I-95, I-10, I-5, or whatever, and you're going to hit one of these three, right? You can find loads for them or freight for your carrier on the load boards. You can find them easier, and they pay the better rates. So those are good reasons why you should start out with the three major equipment types, okay? Now, here's the alternative as a dispatch service. You got three major equipment types, and then you have what's called specialty equipment types. Power only, right? Let me enlarge this a little bit. Okay, power only units. Power only means it's just a unit, the power unit itself only, without a trailer connected to it. That's why they call it power only, okay? You have box trucks, right? 16, 20, 24, 26-foot box trucks, CDL, non-CDL, okay? Then you have what's called hot shots, dually pickup trucks with trailers attached to them, 40-foot trailers or 35 plus 5 or whatever type of trailers, okay? And then you have sprinter vans or cargo vans. These are specialty equipment types that are out here too that you can potentially dispatch for. So on this hot shot one, if you guys can see the image, how many axles do you see on that hot shot trailer? Jeremy said 3. Very good. 1, 2, 3. 3 axles. Okay. So now here's the key for the dispatch service. And this has been going on for eternity. It's easier for dispatchers to have truck drivers and owner operators wanting you to be their dispatcher who drive the specialty equipment types. It's easier to get these types of equipment types wanting you to be their dispatcher than the three major equipment types. Okay, so keep that in mind. But it's harder to find loads for them on the load boards. Okay, so now let's flip that. It's harder or a challenge, not impossible, but a challenge to get the three major equipment type carriers wanting you to be their dispatcher. But once you do, it is so much easier to find loads for these types of equipment types than it is for the specialties. So as a dispatch service and a business, you have to ask yourself a question. What position would I rather be in? Would I rather have a major equipment type, having a little bit of a challenge getting a major equipment type, but once I do, I can find them loads all day? Or would I rather get someone who drives a specialty equipment type right off the top, say, hey, I want you to be my dispatcher, but you're going to have a hard time finding freight for them? Which position would you rather be in? Do you want your vegetables first and then the dessert, or the dessert and then the vegetables, right? So that's something as a business you have to think about, right? So I just want to put that in the atmosphere for you guys to actually think about there, right? So now, any questions about the three major equipment types and the specialty equipment types. If you have a question, unmute yourself or no questions? All right. So now that you have decided as a dispatch service which equipment type carrier you're going to target, now you have to decide, well, what are some of the ways do I get them? What are some of the methods that I need to use to get them? Okay, well, let's cruise down in the module. Next step in the process, some of the methods used to get the carriers, right? So it's a workflow, it's a process, right? Based on our experience, right? So we're cooking you onto the learning curve. So the first method, so let me pick on somebody real quick. Jeremy, what area of the country are you from? Like what state?
I am in California.
Okay, California. So with the truck stops, you're going to learn that one of your best friends on the internet is something called Google, right? And later on, it's going to be Chat GPT, because Chat GPT is like the AI version of Google at this point. But we'll go to Google and type in, what city are you near in California, by the way? Is it one of the major ones like Los Angeles?
No, I'm near Fresno, California.
Okay, so Fresno. So truck stops near Fresno. If you want to select that particular method of visiting truck stops, and you get this image right here, right? Can everybody see the screen? Okay. See where it says more places? I'm going to click that so it opens it up a little bit more, and you're going to see more truck stops. And let me shrink this a little bit and then shrink the image right there. So all these red images or red dots and things like that represents these over here on the side, the different types of truck stops in and around Fresno. So you should see some major interstates, major state routes, 168, 41, and then the major interstate, I-5, things of that nature. Here's a key with dispatching too. If you notice, the odd number interstates are north and southbound. I-5, I-10 north, I-5 south, whatever. The even number interstates are east and westbound. Like 10, that's an even number. It goes east and west, right? 10 east, 10 west. I-5 north, I-5 south. You ever notice that? Keep that in mind as a dispatcher. Odd number interstates are north and southbound. Even number interstates are east and westbound. The interstates are the ones that are in blue with the red. Those are the interstates, the major interstates, okay? But going back to the truck stops, that's just something for you guys to kind of have in your head as a dispatcher. Keep that in mind. Some of the popular truck stop names are like Love's, Petro, TA's, Flying J's. These are popular truck stop names. You may have some small mom and pop pilots, mom and pop truck stops. The thing with the visiting the truck stops as a dispatch service and you're soliciting your services is you are going to speak to someone in person. You're going to talk to a carrier. You may walk up to them. You may catch them while they're they may have a convenience store at the truck stop. They may be getting fuel at the depot pump. They may be washing their truck at the truck wash area. Wherever they're located, you want to bring your materials with you, your contract, your dispatcher agreement, maybe business cards, maybe a goodie bag, right? A little gift, like some snacks, some deodorant, things like that, to give something away, right? To present, to kind of break the ice, if you will. If you are using this particular method of trying to get a carrier to dispatch for, okay? And then you would approach them and introduce yourself and then go from there. If you are not a people person, if you are introverted, I do not suggest using this method. Why would you? It's not your lane, right? There's less traffic in your lane. Stay in your lane. If you're not a people person, then you're going to fail off the top because you have trouble talking to people. You're more of a background person in the background. You don't want to be in the forefront kind of person. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just who you are. But if you come from a customer service, call center environment where you used to do that, make calls and all that stuff, you will thrive in this particular method, okay? So that's just one method. Another method, that's just the truck stops. Oh, back to the truck stops too. If you're gonna post or have any flyers to pass out or any cards to give out, things like that, make sure if they have a management team at that facility that you get their permission. You just don't want to go in there and bum rush their spot and just passing out stuff. And they're looking at you like, who the heck is this person? Right? You want to be respectable of the location that you're at, right? It's just a layer of respect, okay? The second method that we suggest is what's called cold calls. Well, a cold call is when you call someone for the very first time that you've never met in your life, and you got between 30 seconds and a minute to convince them that what you have to offer to them will be beneficial for them, right? You're presenting a service. Hey, are you under a load or looking for a load? You're calling a truck driver, owner operator. Are you under a load or looking for a load? If you say it like that, or how much money you need to move your truck, or anything like that, they be like, what the heck is you talking? Are you a freight broker? And then you introduce yourself, break the ice. No, this is McKinsey's dispatch service, or this is Alexander's transportation or Alexander Logistics, right? And I'm saying, and we're a dispatch service. We provide dispatch services. Where do you normally run? So you ask those leading questions. Where do you normally run? How much do you want per mile? How often do you run? What areas do you not want to go in? So you just bombarded them with some positive energy. And then if they even commence to answering one of the questions, guess what happened? You just broke that ice, right? Hey, we're a dispatch service. How much do you normally move your truck for? What do you gross per week? Are you looking to make more? Right? I understand that the market is down now, but we focus on getting the best rates for our carriers, or whatever, however you say that, right? So, but cold calling, and you're doing it on the phone, you're not face to face, you may get hung up. I'm gonna give you some real game here. You may get hung up on, you may get cussed at. You're going to hear different responses. Get ready for that. If you don't have thick skin, don't get on the phone, because you're talking to truck drivers. You're not talking to a minister or the Pope, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who's, right? You're talking to maybe one of the good old boys, one of them rednecks, or somebody who just got in the game. They're going to be cussing. Man, you calling my phone? What? I'm just so, or you never know what you're going to get. Well, I don't need a dispatch service. Well, how'd you get this number anyway? Or some goofy stuff, right? So you gotta have thick skin when you are dealing with that. Just like in customer service, you got to go into a call queue, get this number. You can't even identify who they are. You just got to call the number and then read the script that you've been programmed to read to them at this call center environment that you got paid hourly to work for, right? And then over time, as you do that, you're gonna get a lot of no's, but then that one yes, the no's are good. You know why? Because every no gets you closer to the yes, because you've learned something different from that last no that you're going to do different on the next call. You've experienced it over and over again, and then it's going to sharpen you up. It's going to tighten your game up. Most people are afraid to do cold calls. I don't understand why. But that's the cold call environment. How do we do it on this training? We access a load board called right here, Trucking Planet, and it's in our module 2, which is our load board. This module, we give away access to 6 load boards, and we have a 7th load board with a promotional offer to give that for you for free for 30 days. And then we have an 8th load board, which is a private load board from a private broker. So we got a whole ton of resources that you can go into, right? But this is one of the load boards we give you access to in module 2. We're still in module 1 right now. But I just want to show you where to go to look up, to get phone numbers for carriers to potentially call. So you log in, and the login is going to be in the module, right? I don't show the login on this because we're in the recording, right? You guys have access to it, but we'll log into it. So now we're logged in. So now at the top, you see these different headers, right? The one that says carriers, the first 3 are the 3 major equipment types: drive-in, truckload carriers, flatbed or step deck truckload carriers, and refrigerated truckload carriers. So let's just select drive-in. You select drive-in, it takes you right here. Okay. All these, and look, it's displaying 1 of 50 on the first page of 663 carriers across 14 pages. So you can't say, well, I don't have a carrier to call. And it breaks it down based off of the equipment type. We're only looking at drive-in carriers. If you want to look at, if you have a niche, if you want to focus because you're in a specific, let's say you're in a specific area and you see an abundance of only drive-in carriers. Well, then it's safe to say that might be your niche because that's the area. Hey, I only want to focus on drive-in. Or you may be in the area of the country that you see a lot more flatbeds than you do anything else, like in the Southeast or the Panhandle area, like the Floridas, Alabamas, Georgia's area, down in that area where they haul a lot of lumber and steel. You may see that. You say, well, let me just focus on flatbeds. So you go back and you select flatbed truckload carriers and it switches. So now you got 1 to 25 of 336 carriers and you get all these numbers, phone numbers, emails, and you can call them. You can see what the company name is, how many units or equipment types they have, trucks, who the contact person is. This may be a dispatcher for that company or the owner themselves, right? Their phone number and email and the lanes or the routes that they usually move freight in to get paid for, okay? So you can play with that and go in there and play with it, okay? So that's that under the cold calling. You just got to sharpen up your people skills if you want to decide to do that route, okay? Another method, there are several methods. You may know somebody who's in transportation, has a trucking company, may need a dispatcher. That's word of mouth or what we call referral. Someone may know that, hey, I just started a dispatch service. Oh, I know somebody who drives a truck. He may need your services. Let me connect you guys. Networking, right? We also we have text scripts and email campaigns. What is a text script? You create one script of what you're going to say to one person. You put it into a text scripting software, like for example, Text Magic or Text Line. You import that one script in there, and then you import an abundance of phone numbers in there, and you hit send, and it's going to hit all those numbers at one time. So that covers a whole lot of area at one time. It's almost like having a YouTube channel. You put out a YouTube video, and it hits all your subscribers all over the country. It's the same concept, okay? Same thing with email. It's the same concept with texting. It is with email campaigns. For those of you who are familiar with email campaigns, you create the email script. You get an email campaigning software like MailChimp or Constant Contact. Constant Contact is more on the business side, corporate side. MailChimp is more on the personal side. I would lean more towards MailChimp because you're dealing with owner-operators. Even though they're businesses, they're like people. They're not on a corporate level. So I would lean more towards MailChimp and if you're going to go this route, get an account with MailChimp as opposed to Constant Contact. And you'll go in here and look at all their features. Okay. And then you put the email script in there and then you import your emails in there that you want to reach and then hit send and it emails all of the emails that you have in there, that one script, right? So what is our text script and our email script? A text script, we have one in here, little small script. And this is just a template or example of what one. Hey, hello, this is Charles with Exodus Dispatch Services. You can call it whatever you want, right? An independent dispatcher. Are you under a load or looking for a load? How much money you need to move your truck? We can be another option for you in finding good paying loads. Before we find loads, we do need to have a dispatcher agreement between us, and then tells you where to go to your website or whatever area you want to go to connect with them. Okay. That's the texting side. The email side is a little bit as well, an email script. This is an example of one where we go break it down, and you can read that for yourself in the back office. Okay, but I'm just showing you that we have it for you as a template, as a guide for you. You can make it smaller, you can tweak it, you can condense it, you can expand it. It is your baby. Okay. So now, once you have a carrier or an equipment type, once you have a method of going after the carriers to get a carrier, let's say you get someone, let's say I'm a carrier, and let's say either Alexander, Mr. McKenzie, or anyone else got me and said, hey, and whatever you said to me, whether verbally, in person, at a truck stop, in an email, or whatever, that convinced me that I want to proceed further. Hey, man, I just got my operating authority as a motor carrier. I think I'm going to need a dispatcher. Now, that's a warm lead. It's not a cold call. It's more like a warm lead heading to a possible conversion between you and I, a contract. So what do you need to officially become connected with that driver? Me, for example. Well, for us, we decide we need a dispatcher packet. A dispatcher packet to be connected between me, the truck driver, and you, the dispatch service. So the dispatcher packet contains 3 documents. Okay? It contains 3 documents. The first document contains what's called the dispatcher agreement. The second is the carrier profile, and the third is the limited power of attorney. Let me break those down. Before I move on, are there any questions so far of this process? Yes, Jeremy.
For the limited power of attorney, when it says notarize, is that something that that we do for the driver, or how does that work?
Great question. So the limited power of attorney is a document. The purpose of the limited power of attorney is for me, the truck driver, to give you, the dispatching service, permission to represent me when you are booking loads for me, right? In other words, you're talking to the freight broker, you're getting me set up and onboarded with the broker, and you're getting those loads booked with the rate confirmations. So if you're going to represent me, I have to give you permission to sign and print my name on those documents legally. So it is the responsibility of the carrier to fill this document out and have it notarized. They have it notarized, not the dispatcher. Because the person who is giving someone else the authority to represent them is the same person who has to have that document notarized. And in that situation, that is the carrier. That's the truck.
No, so does it usually take a while to get those back then? Because, well, I'm just wondering how they get it notarized if they're on the road.
So on the road, so sometimes you have electronic notaries, you have mobile notaries, and you have the standard notaries, like going to a post office or a public library, or things like that. Most carriers, like when you first talked to, if I was a carrier and I was driving a load and you sent me the dispatcher packet, I'll say, give me a moment, wait till I do my reset for my hours, and I'll have it notarized then, or when I'm resting my truck, resting my hours, or if you can connect me with an electronic notary where we can get this app on the phone and we can just upload the documents to them, they notarize it and send it back to us. So technology is such now that things can be done so much quicker, right? There are e-notaries, there's mobile notaries, and then there's just a standard brick and mortar notaries, like at public libraries and post offices. So, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So the first document is the dispatcher agreement. What is the dispatcher agreement as part of the dispatcher packet? The dispatcher agreement is the actual contract between one company and another company. You are a dispatch service, which is a company. The carrier, the truck driver, the owner operator is a trucking company, right? So 2 companies come to an agreement in contract form, which is called the dispatcher agreement, right? Now, this is a template. When you send it to the carrier, all of your information is going to be pre-filled out already, right? So where it says dispatcher company, that's going to be replaced with the name of your company. Phone number, same thing. Email and website, same thing. That'll already be pre-filled out, okay? The only thing that needs to be blank is where the carrier has to fill out and send back to you, which is right here, where it says I and the carrier owner operator. Let's say it's me, ABC Transportation, right? Truck number 1, trailer number 2, right? MC number or motor carrier, and DOT number, Department of Transportation numbers. I'm the truck driver filling that out. So what is an MC number or motor carrier number? And what is a DOT number or Department of Transportation number, for those of you who don't know, right? Every truck driver, owner operator who has the authority to transport freight legally for a fee to get paid for it has been given authorization to do so by the DOT, but another company subsequently below them called the FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. That is the governing body under the DOT that has given motor carriers the authority to transport freight across the country for a fee. That's how they make their money. So if you got a carrier that you potentially going to dispatch for who cannot give you an MC number, run. Run. Right? If they can't provide you an operating authority from the FMCSA, you are not going to be able to dispatch for them. Why do I say that? Because every load you're going to find for them or try to find for them, or when you do find a load for them without an MC number, you're going to call a freight broker who posted that load on a load board. Okay? And you're going to inquire with the freight broker, hey, I found this load going from Norfolk, Virginia to Fresno, California. Is that load still available? Broker's going to say, sure, it is. Oh, by the way, what's your MC number? They're asking you the MC number of the carrier, not you, because dispatchers don't have MC numbers. Dispatchers don't have an authority, right? You're working on behalf of your carrier with this dispatcher agreement contract. You're going to give that MC number. If you don't have an MC number from your carrier when you first got them under a dispatcher agreement, how can you provide it to a broker in order to book a load? The reason why the freight broker is asking you, the dispatcher, for the MC number of the carrier is because they want to qualify them and make sure that they are legitimate. They want to vet them out. They'll look the MC number up in their system to see if that MC number shows as an approved carrier already for their brokerage, or if it's not. Just because it's not doesn't mean it's a bad thing. They'll say, hey, your MC number or this MC number doesn't show in our system, but that's okay. And then they'll go through the process of wanting to set up with you, right? Getting your carrier set up and approved to be in their system. But if you can't provide the MC number at the onset, if your carrier that you're trying to get under an initial dispatcher agreement can't provide you an MC number, then it's safe to say that you shouldn't work with that carrier. They can't even give you an MC number or a DOT number for that matter. In other words, they don't have an authority to move freight legally for a fee across the country or in the country or in the state or wherever they're located. So they're wasting your time as well as their own. So if I were you, if you couldn't get those two numbers from a carrier, I would move on to the next carrier. Okay. So the dispatcher agreement in the dispatcher packet is the first document. Okay. The second document in the dispatcher agreement is what's called the limited power of attorney. And Mr. Alexander just asked a question about that. The limited power of attorney, again, is the document where the carrier has to get it notarized saying that they are authorizing someone else, you, the dispatcher, to represent them in matters of getting them onboarded with brokers and getting them loads booked. So right here where it says the beginning part of the limited power of attorney. So in the limited power of attorney, the carrier is what's called the principal, okay? The dispatcher is what's called the attorney in fact. Those are just Latin terms or legal terms when you are using a limited power of attorney. Do not get this confused with power of attorney. This is not a power of attorney. It is a limited power of attorney, limited to perform certain acts. I'm highlighting it right there. So right here where it says said attorney in fact, the dispatcher, shall have full limited power and authority to undertake and perform only, I should underline this right here, only the following acts on my behalf. So this is the carrier saying that in this form. This is your template, you're designing it, and then when you send it to the carrier, they're going to fill it out, okay? So the things that the carrier is giving you permission and authority to represent them by are, number one, when you are completing any and all broker carrier agreements for any and all brokerages that the carrier is onboarding or that you, the dispatcher, is onboarding on behalf of the carrier. Okay, and we'll get into that in a second. So what I mean by that is every broker you call for a load for your carrier that your carrier's MC is not part of that brokerage, if you guys want to book that load, you would have to go through a broker carrier agreement on behalf of your carrier in order to get that carrier approved with that freight brokerage. Okay. And that's a simple process. I'm just telling you the high level part of it. Okay. The second act that you can only perform is complete any and all rate confirmations, which officially books the load. So once you get your carrier approved for a broker, then you have to agree on a rate for a particular load that broker was offering to you on the load board. When you first called the broker, you saw a load on the load board and you said, this is a good load. Let me talk to my carrier about it. You guys agreed on it. Then you commenced to calling the broker. You got your carrier set up with the broker carrier agreement, and then they got approved. So the broker carrier agreement only gets your carrier approved for that freight broker. You still have to agree to the rate of that load to sign the rate confirmation to officially book that load. Okay, so there's a two-step process. It's a two-step process if your carrier's MC number is not an approved MC number for a particular brokerage. If your carrier's MC number is an approved MC number for a brokerage, then it becomes only a one-step process because they're already approved, so you don't have to do the broker carrier agreement. You just cut your workload in half. Okay, you only got to negotiate the rate and get what's called a rate confirmation or a load confirmation. Sometimes it's called a load confirmation. Sometimes it's called a rate confirmation. Okay. And then the third one is optional, where you can do bookkeeping and invoicing on behalf of your carrier. But if I were you, I would focus mainly on dispatching first, get that process down. And then if you entertain doing these extra services, I would definitely charge for that because that involves more of your time. That's just a thought. That's just me. Okay. So this second document is the limited power of attorney, right? And then on here, it has the acceptance of appointment, which is you. You accept being appointed the limited power of attorney right here by signing it and printing it. And then you can or you don't have to have a witness, or the carrier, I should say, you can or don't have to have the witness. And then finally, the notary public is the one who's going to make it official by putting their stamp seal here and signing their name and putting when their commission expires. Okay. They can do that in person. They can do it mobily in person or at a brick and mortar like a library or a post office, or they can do it electronically or through an app that was uploaded, things like that. Okay. So that's document number 2 in the dispatcher packet. Document number 3 in the dispatcher packet is what's called the carrier profile. What is the carrier profile? All this is the carrier or the truck drivers giving you their requirements of how they want you to find a load for them, certain specifications. Like I want $2 a mile. I want to haul no more than 38,000 pounds on my drive-in trailer. I want to go only to these states, state 1 through 5 or whatever states. I don't want to go through the mountains. I want to avoid the tolls. Certain requirements that they're telling you. So they're pretty much giving you the blueprint of how they want you to find loads for them. So when you go search for them on the load board, you'll have an idea of how to do that. Here's a key line right here. Please list the brokers that you are already set up with or approved below or approved with. Right here, this line right there. Please list the brokers that you are already set up or approved with below. So if they list some brokers on these lines, what does that do? That also cuts your workload in half because you don't have to do the broker carrier agreement on those particular brokers. Like for example, C.H. Robinson, Coyote, TQL. These are some known brokerages out here. If your carrier says, hey, I've ran loads for them before. So what that means is they're already set up in those particular brokerages systems. Right? So any questions there? If the carrier is already set up with a broker, what needs to be done to update the information for the new dispatchers. Go into the system of the broker's system through your carrier's login credentials and update it, Alexandra.
Pardon me?
Go into this, not the other, there's another Alexandra Banks.
Oh, sorry.
Question, yeah. So, all right, so these are the 3 documents. Also with the carrier profile, here is where the carrier lists their specifications, what we just mentioned. How much cents per mile do they want, right? What does that mean by cents? So for every mile, they want to get so many cents, right? So for each equipment type, there's an average cents per mile for that equipment types in certain areas of the country. So for example, for a drive-in equipment type running in the Midwest or the Southeast, it may pay $2.50 between $2.50 per mile to $3 a mile, but it may pay less out in California. So as a dispatcher over time, and as you come across more loads, you'll begin to see that. And you will know where to send your carriers into and out of for that specific equipment type or others in order to maximize their bottom line for them. And that'll come with experience, right? Don't try to conquer that now, right? You're going to make mistakes. The beauty of mistakes are that you learn from them, right? Once you learn from them, you'll know what to do the next time or what not to do the next time, right? And then down here also in the carrier profile, here is certain areas of the country or zones where they want to go in, like the Northeast portion of the country or the Northeast zone or area contains the Northeastern states, and they're in alphabetical order. Connecticut, Delaware, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Same thing with the Midwest, Southeast. Let me give you a cookie right here. The Midwest zone or area of the country is the #1 zone for the 3 major equipment types because they contain a high volume of inbound and outbound freight for your carrier across those 3 major equipment types. Okay. Number 2 is the Southeast. Southeast is the #2 zone, and in the Southwest, particularly the state of Texas. So as a dispatcher, if you're dispatching one of the 3 major equipment types, drive-in, flatbed, or reefer, I would keep them running initially in and out of the Midwest, maybe 2 in and out of the Southwest, and then maybe sometimes over to Texas and back, right? To maximize their bottom line. You may have a carrier with a drive-in and say, hey, I want to gross between 7,000 and 8,000 a week. Okay. Then you ask him, are you an over-the-road carrier? What does that mean? OTR, over the road. Over-the-road carriers usually average between 2,500 and 3,000 miles per week. I repeat, over-the-road OTR carriers usually average between 2,500 and 3,000 miles a week. Okay, so let me bring up a calculator to give you an idea what that means. Let me share my screen with the calculator. If you can you guys see the screen with the calculator? Okay, so if you got an over-the-road carrier who averages between 2,500 and 3,000 miles a week, right? So let's say they do 3,000 miles a week. And they say, well, I run 3,000 miles a week, and I want you to run me at least, I want to make on average between about $2.75 per mile. I have a drive-in, and I run on average 3,000 miles a week. Okay, well, 3,000 miles a week, you gotta, and that's give or take on average. Sometimes it'll be more than $2.75 a mile. Sometimes it'll be less than $2.75 a mile. But on average, for those 3,000 miles, it'll be $2.75. So 3,000 miles at $2.75. That's going to get you $8,250. So as long as you can meet the parameters of what your carrier is requiring, you'll get them their bottom line. You see? If you got a carrier that says, hey, I'm going to do $2.50, if you can average me $2.50 a week, or I'm sorry, $2.50 a mile, I drive 3,000 miles. $2.50. That's $7,500 a week. So your job as a dispatcher is try to maintain loads, just getting them on average $2.50 a mile. So what's the constant number there? The constant number is the 3,000. They're going to always do 3,000 miles a week or better. The job as a dispatcher is to see if they can maintain that 250 a mile, 275 a mile, or whatever they're asking. Now, some carriers will give you unrealistic numbers. Oh, I want $4 a mile. That's not going to happen, right? Right now in this market, unless you're running local small runs, short runs, the short runs pay on average higher cents per mile. Let me give you an example. I got a guy who does a flatbed. He runs out of Norfolk and he runs somewhere in Carolina, like almost 200 miles, but they're paying him $800 for that run, right? Or close to 1,000. Let's say $950 or $850. So he's running they're paying him a load coming out of Norfolk, going over to Kingston, North Carolina, or something like that. And that's about 200 miles, 175. They're giving him $850 for that. Short distance, but a lot of money, right? He can do so 2 per day or something like that. So if he can do 2 a day at $850, it's going $850 divided by the number of miles, we'll say 175. That's about 175 miles. So it's giving him $4.85 a mile, but it's short distance for that amount. You follow that? But over the road, it spreads out. Not the port, Brian. He's not coming out of the port. He's running from a customer, a manufacturer in Norfolk. So he's doing $850 for that one run. So with drivers in their drive time, how many runs a day you think he can do at 175 miles per run? At least 2. So he can go out 175 miles. He's coming back empty with nothing, right? If he was smart, he would maximize his line haul and back haul. He should grab something coming back to make some money, at least to cover the fuel, right? But let's just say he goes out and gets $850 and then he just deadheads back. He drives empty. What deadhead means, guys, is driving empty, your truck and trailer coming back to a location. So that's deadhead. You have nothing on your loads are dead. You have nothing on your trailers, empty. Deadhead, okay? So $850, if he does that 2 times, Laverne says, depends on the pickup time. That's great. So if he picks up at 6 a.m. and drives 175 miles, it's going to take him about, how many hours is it going to take to drive 175 miles if your engine is calibrated at about 65 miles an hour? So now we're getting into trucking, right? But as a dispatcher, you got to factor some of this stuff in too, because you want to make sure that your driver is driving within their hours of service. They have a certain amount of drive time that they have to be on the road, right? Because sometimes you can't trust the drivers. You'll ask them, hey, you still got hours to pick this next load up? And they'll say, yeah, but they only got 2 minutes left on their clock, right? So Jennifer and Brian said 3 hours. So they can do 3 hours. So 6, they pick up in the morning, 6 a.m. It takes them 3 hours to get to the destination in Kingston. So they get there by 9. Let's say they get offloaded by 10. Let's say an hour, which I doubt, but let's just say an hour. They get offloaded by 10 and they shoot back to Norfolk. So that's another 3 hours, 10, 11, 12. So they get back there 1. They get loaded up again. 1, let's say they get done at 1:30, 1:45. Let's say 2. Let's say it takes them an hour to load it. So they're loaded at 2 again. Then they head back. So that's that second load. So that's another 3 hours. So 2, that's 5 o'clock. So they've done 2 loads in a day at $850 per load. So that's what was that, 1,700? $850 times 2? 1,700. 2 loads a day. And they're home every night. Right? And they do that 5 days a week. 8,500. So that's how they can make the same amount on short runs as an over-the-road driver can make on the over-the-road 3,000 miles. And it's less wear and tear on their vehicle because they're driving only short distances. It's less on the fuel cost, right? See all these little factors that come into play? So if you can find a short run for your guy that maximize their bottom line, it would seem more advantageous to do that as well. Right? So just wanted to show you that little concept as well. Let me reshare the other screen. All right. Any questions so far? Brian Murphy. I know a Brian Murphy. This might not be the Brian Murphy I used to work with. Brian Murphy. Okay. Oh no, it's not. This is Brian. I'm sorry. That's Brian Murray. Excuse me.
Maybe in another life.
Yeah, it's Brian Murray. It's a different name. I get the names mixed up. All right, can you guys see the regular screen? Any questions before I'm going to get into a load board now and walk you through the process of actually loads. Yes, Jeremy.
Charles?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, DC service. Jeremy,
Go ahead.
DC service. Go ahead, Jeremy, and then DC service. Stay unmuted.
Okay.
DC service. Go ahead, Jeremy.
How does this change for team drivers? Are they going to also be dictating the rate they need, or are we just going to assume that it's going to twice the rate for a team driver?
You can assume the safest assumption is twice the rate because you got two drivers. So the purpose of team drivers is you're trying to get the commodity there sooner, because with team drivers, each driver can drive up to 11 hours in a 14-hour on-duty drive time period. So you can cover 22 hours in a day. So you can essentially get from here to California, right?
Wow.
Close to that one day, at least a day and a half with team drivers, right? It shouldn't take you that long, right? But yeah, team drivers, you pretty much, and we can look for a load for team drivers and see how advantageous it is to dispatch for team drivers as it is. Well, if you dispatch for team drivers, whether you dispatch for team driver or solo drivers, your percentage or your flat fee for your dispatch service is going to be applied either to the solo driver or to the team driver collectively, not individually, because they're in that one truck. All they're doing is what's called slip seating. They're just slip seating. One jumping out the seat, the other one jumping in it. That's called slip seating, right? Slip seating. They're just switching seats. One did their 11-hour drive. Okay, get out. Let me get in. Let's slip out the seat and let me jump in it. So, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. DC service.
I have a question for the notary. What about they decide to do it themselves? Do they have to mail it to your office or to your house? The paperwork?
You said who does it themselves?
The carrier.
Dispatcher? The carrier.
Yeah, the notary. If they go to the post office or somewhere to get notarized, do I have to send it to your office, or they have to take a picture?
The quickest way they can get it to you, the better. Whether it's to your I'm assuming your office location, or if they can fax it to you or scan it to an email and email it to you. That's probably the quickest way because it's digital and electronic.
Oh, it doesn't have to be the original. You don't have to have the original.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Because the stamp, the official seal from the notary, if you got a copy of that, that's perfectly, as long as it's legible, you're good.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay. AJ Franklin, you have a question?
I'm kind of in Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know if you can.
Oh, give me 2 Boston creams, some chocolate glaze, and an iced tea.
Gotcha. So question. Say for instance, we set up with a carrier. Have you ever had a carrier that's computer illiterate and don't know how to send stuff? How would that work out?
You use that as an opportunity to teach them, or you ask them, do they have someone in their family that can assist them in that process? Or you can assist them if you have the time. 2 factors: the time and the patience.
So even if he's or she is out of state, I'm from Florida. So if I land anyone that's from a whole other state, that will still be able to work out?
Yes, because thank God for the beauty of the internet. Internet is international. I have students in my course that's all over the world, international. So, and we communicate via the internet. So stands to reason that just in America, in different states, it's the same concept. It applies. You know, as long as you have the patience to deal with the person, if they don't have a family member like a younger child or a child who's computer literate and capable of helping them, or a spouse, or a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and you're willing to help them, and in that situation, if you're willing to help them, I would help them for free to show how much dedication you have to helping them as a dispatcher. I wouldn't try to charge an extra for that service of helping them because they're computer illiterate. I would take advantage of using that to leverage providing an extra service, an added service, because that goes a long way. They'll tell someone else and say, hey man, my dispatcher, they found out I wasn't real good at computers and they went above and beyond and actually helped me, and they're walking me through the process. And that'll pique interest of other people, see how caring and dedicated you are to providing the service for your potential carrier.
Okay, so it would be a good strategic move to kind of target those that lack of that ability.
Well, I wouldn't say a strategic move to try to target them, but if you come across one that is unfortunately in that particular situation, I wouldn't let it deter me from helping them. Right? I would use it as an opportunity, right? Because we have people out here who may not be as literate in technology as others, right? And you would use it as an opportunity, to provide that service. And it shows you have a level of patience, because dispatchers have to have patience, because you're dealing with a whole bunch of different emotions. So you're dealing with the emotions of the freight broker. You're dealing with the emotions of potentially a shipper or a customer. You're dealing with the emotions of the motor carrier, particularly. So you have to have thick skin and patience in this industry, right?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on to the load board? So where we are here is the beginning process. We got our license, we got our business license set up for the dispatch company, dispatch service, whatever we call ourselves, ABC Logistics, Alexander's Transportation, or DC Dispatch Services, or whatever we call ourselves, AJ Franklin's Dispatch Service. Got that in place. We decided on which type of equipment type carrier to go after. We considered what method we were going to use. So I'm just doing a recap, right? And then we got a carrier and we nurtured that carrier, and they got interested and say, hey man, send me your information. So we created our pre-made dispatcher packet with our dispatcher, pop quiz. How many documents are in the dispatcher packet? How many?
Is it 3?
3. Alexandra Bank, Omar said 3. Okay. 3 documents. What are they? What are the 3 documents that make up the dispatcher packet?
It's the dispatcher agreement, the limited power of attorney, and the carrier profile.
Very good. Very good. So those are the ones that we have templates for right here. And we have them in PDF format as well as Word. The reason why we have them in Word format is because you can download the Word document to your local computer, open that up, and edit our template to your company's specifications. And then resave that as a Word document with your company's name, and then resave it again, changing the file type to a PDF, because it's the PDF version that you send to the carrier, right? Either attached to an email, or you upload the PDF version into some kind of e-signature software like DocuSign, PDF, Adobe Reader, PDF filler, something like that, where you create editable fields to do, right? Never send a carrier your Word document version of your documentations, your dispatch agreement, limited power of attorney, and carrier profile. Why? Because they can edit it. They can change it, right? Send them either the e-signature type or the uploaded PDF attached to an email so that they can fill it out and do it that way. So as a recap, so now we got there. Now, in addition to those documents that make up the dispatcher packet, when the carrier completes those and send them back to you, you will also need copies of some documents from the carrier to your dispatch service so that you can perform your dispatch duties more efficient and effective. We call them the carrier's onboarding documents. These documents are needed by you from the carrier prior to you starting to dispatch for them and finding loads. Okay, what are the documents? The first one is you need a copy of the carrier's authority, their certificate authority. Okay, and this is a sample of what one looks like. And the carriers, if you got a carrier who cannot provide you a copy of this, you should not work with them. Because again, when you book loads with a freight broker, they are, and the carrier's MC number is not in their system, they're going to want to have a copy of this so that they can vet them out. This MC authority certificate shows that the carrier, this is evidence that the carrier has authority to engage in transportation as a carrier for a fee. This is governed by the Department of Transportation, DOT, and the FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Every carrier who runs freight legally and transport freight on the road has one of these. If they don't, they cannot pick up freight. So it stands to reason as a dispatch service, it would make sense for you to have this in your possession ahead of time prior to booking loads for your carrier. It just makes your job more efficient. That's document number one that you need a copy of from your carrier. In addition to the dispatcher packet that they're going to fill out and return. Okay. Document number two, you need a copy, and that first one also, these are copies. You don't need the originals from them. Just have them make a copy of it. The second one is you need a copy of their certificate of insurance. Okay, because you need to, and this is just a blank one, what it looks like, but you need a copy of this. Theirs will be filled out with their information on it. Okay, I don't want a blank copy of it. I need your information, Mr. Carrier, because you need to see that they have the proper insurance coverage to cover what they have the authority to transport with the MC certificate. So the MC certificate gives them the authority to transport freight. The certificate of insurance gives them enough coverage to cover insurance-wise what they have the authority to transport. Does that make sense? Okay. So like you guys who drive, everybody who drives a car, some people may not drive a car. You drive a car, you have a driver's license, right, which gives you the permission to drive the car, but you also need insurance coverage to cover yourself, to be covered on, to be able to drive the car and be safe, right? It's the same concept in this example. So your driver's license is like, for you, that's your version of the MC authority certificate in this example. And then your insurance is your version of the certificate of insurance for the carrier, and as an analogy, okay? On the insurance policies for the carrier, they typically have two main types of coverage on their policy. The first one is cargo insurance, general cargo, which is the minimum is $100,000. And the second one is general liability, and that minimum is $1 million. Okay, for the brokers, most brokers are requiring liability coverage to be $1 million. The commercial insurance company that the carriers got the insurance from, their minimum requirement is $750,000. But if you're going to be booking loads for brokers who require $1 million, why not just have your carrier add an extra $250,000 on the coverage and bump it up to $1 million? Here's a question that some people may be asking. If I get a carrier who only has $750,000 on the insurance for liability, can I still dispatch for them? Yes, you can. Not every broker requires $1 million. There are some that still work with carriers who have $750,000. Okay. But if you're going to be dealing with the majority of your brokers who are going to require $1 million, and it stands to reason, hey, you just have a conversation with your carrier and say, hey, since we're dealing with brokers who require $1 million liability and they're better paying loads, do you have a problem with upping your liability from $750,000 to $1 million? Yes or no? Mr. Carrier. So, simple conversation, all right? And then the third document that you want a copy of from your carrier to be returned to you along with the dispatcher packet is the W-9, okay? W-9. This is the W-9. Everyone knows what a W-9, well, should know, I would say, what a W-9 looks like, okay? It just shows, just like with your business, it will have your filing name for your IRS, your business name on line 2, the legal structure, whether you're LLC, S Corp, C Corp for the, the carrier, their lines 5 and 6, their mailing address, city, state, and zip. And then in part 1 down here, it'll have their EIN number. Just like yours will have your EIN number when you do your W-9 for tax purposes, okay, right here. And then finally, it'll be signed right there. And that's it. That's all a W-9 is. It's just an EIN identifier for tax purposes. That's all it is. You guys have one for your company. So that's all you need. So those are the 3 main documents, carrier supporting documents that you need to be returned to you by the carrier, copies of, prior to dispatching for them. Now, there is a 4th document that is optional or possible that needs to be returned to you by the carrier if that carrier that you've gotten under a dispatcher agreement is working with a factoring company, a company that buys transportation invoice factoring. They front most carriers cash flow up front, and then they'll deal with the broker on the back end for the rest of the money. They'll give the carriers up to about 90% advance, but they charge for that service, okay? And part of the process of doing that, in order to qualify to do that with a factoring company for a carrier, the factoring company, which is now the client, the carrier is the client of the factoring company, but the factoring company needs to vet the broker in order to make sure that they are favorable and factorable in order for the factoring company to advance cash flow to the carrier. Before I give you all this money, I want to make sure the people that you're contracting with to move loads are going to pay us. So part of that process is the factory company needs a credit check ran on the broker. Credit application. So your carrier's factory company will provide a blank credit application to the carrier. They'll give you a copy of it. And then every broker you call to book a load for your carrier, you will send this also to the broker. They've seen this 1,000 times. They'll fill it out and then fax it back to the number that's on the credit application directly to the broker. The broker will vet that, the factory company will vet that broker based off of the credit application. And if it comes back favorable, then the factoring company will send over to the broker directly what's called a notice of assignment, saying, hey, all invoices that are payable to our client, which is the carrier, are now payable to us, the factoring company, because we have a pre-existing agreement between our client and us, because we've advanced them this money, and we're going to get the invoices paid to us through you, Mr. Broker, because we've just approved you. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, so how can you give me guidance to where I can start? On top of I'm not citizen US, the next one. Right. Okay, so Sheila, question.
Yeah, Charles. On that W-9, what is the purpose of us having a W-9? Is it just to have their EIN number?
So the purpose of you having a copy of the carrier's W-9 is that's one of the documents that you're going to need to send to the freight broker, because the broker, if your carrier's MC number, let's say you went on a load board and you call the broker on the load that you want to book for your carrier. I'm the broker. I say, hey, what's the MC number? You give me your carrier's MC number. It doesn't show in my brokerage as an approved number. So I'm going to say, hey, you're not set up with us yet. That's not a problem though. Who do I send our setup packet to, our onboarding stuff to? of course you want to send it to you, right? The dispatcher.
Right.
Right. So I send you our broker carrier agreement. You fill that out. In that process, you return that, and you need to return to me, the broker, a copy of that MC authority, certificate of insurance, and that W-9.
Okay.
Because I, the broker, I'm vetting your carrier to see if I can either approve them or not approve them. And these
Okay.
are some of the documents that I need to do that. The W-9 is one of those documents.
Okay.
Okay. It proves that they have a business. They have an employer identification number attached to irs.gov saying that they have a company. Because I'm not going to give my freight to someone who does not, who is not a legitimate business, because I am responsible for my customers, my shippers, $1 million freight. Why would I, as a freight broker, give that to somebody who doesn't have an established business? Part of proving that they have an established business is that W-9. Okay. All right. Miss Renita.
Hey,
Hey.
just to touch back on the notice of assignment that you were saying that we fill out the application for credit to give to the factoring company, or the carrier does that?
Right. So here's the process.
I just missed it. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Here's the process. If you have a carrier that you got under a dispatcher agreement, who already had a factoring company prior to working with you as a dispatcher, right? They already had a factoring company. And so when they send back the dispatcher packet, which contains the dispatcher agreement, limited power of attorney, and carrier profile, they are also going to send you copies of their supporting documents, MC authority, W-9, certificate of insurance. Now that you realize that they have a factoring company, you also need a copy of the carrier's factoring company's credit application, what you see on the screen here. Okay. So you need a blank credit application, because so now you have it in your possession. So now that every broker you deal with and you try to onboard for your carrier, you send a copy of this blank credit application to the broker. The broker fills it out, and usually on the bottom of the credit application, it'll have the fax number or email of the factoring company that the broker needs to send this back to.
Okay.
So all you do from a dispatcher's perspective is send a blank copy of, if your carrier has a factoring company, you send a blank copy of that credit application in addition to the other paperwork to the broker. Broker fills this out, then it's out of your hands. Broker fills this out and returns it directly to the factoring company. Factoring company is going to check the credit and run everything. If it comes back by the factoring company, if it comes back, the credit check favorable for the broker, that means that they have been approved, they have a line of credit, then the factoring company will shoot over directly to the broker a notice of assignment.
Okay.
And then, which is saying, hey, we are assigning all invoices. The factoring company is telling the broker every invoice that's payable, or the money that you owe our client, which is the carrier, now has to come to us, because we are factoring the loads, because we've already advanced the carrier up to 90% cash flow. So we're trying to recoup what we've advanced to them.
Okay. And then can you, like invoicing, can you invoice the broker on behalf of the carrier, or does the carrier have to be the one to send in their like bill of lading, their proof of delivery?
You could do that as an added service. I would suggest starting off just plainly dispatching first.
Okay.
But you can do that as an added service. When you invoice, of course, you're going to invoice with the carrier's information, the carrier's name. Nowhere on the invoicing process will be the name of your dispatching company or your name at all.
Okay.
It'll all be on behalf of the carrier.
Okay.
That's an added service down the line. Yes, you can do that.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Should you be CC'd on that notice of assignment?
You should not. That is a relationship between the factoring company and their client, which in this case is the carrier.
Okay.
The only thing that you were responsible for is when the carrier sent you the blank copy of the credit application, and since you were onboarding your carrier, then you sent that to them. Bonus, hold up, ding, 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 hold up. Hello, this is Charles.
Hey, Charles, it's Matt. I missed a call from you.
Yeah. I was working on, I was talking to some of my dispatchers about seeing what your I wanted to call you so I can get you, I want them to hear what your requirements are. for the carrier, you wanted a dispatcher for your 2 dry vans, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, and you wanted them. Can you kind of recap? Because I got a few of them on the other line. I'm on a Zoom call with some of my students. So I just wanted to, if you don't mind, sharing some of the requirements that you have, so that they can be fully aware.
Yeah, sure. You said you're going to put them on.
Go ahead.
Oh, you said keep going, or?
No. Go ahead. I want you to explain your requirements. I'm on a Zoom call with some of my students. I wanted some of the requirements so we can understand what exactly it is, so we can see if we can provide the best service for you as possible.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, so what we're looking for is we've got these 2 guys that are signing on. And well, actually, it's 1 guy, but he has another truck and he has an employee. And so he's looking to keep those trucks busy doing van trailer. And so we're looking to keep them running mostly regional, because I think he has a family, so he wants to be home. I think he'd like to be home every night, but that's probably gonna be hard to do. So I think the best thing would be to do is regional and have him home like every 2 days, to have him out and run around a little bit around Pennsylvania, and then go back home. But that's mainly what we're looking to do there.
Okay, so 2 drive-in trailers, regional. So Pennsylvania, you figure Ohio, maybe West Virginia. So that pretty much that radius right there, 150 mile radius, perhaps.
Yeah, I'd say, or even I'd say maybe New York or Massachusetts or something like that. I know they have a lot of loads going up to Massachusetts from Pennsylvania, so that one's also an option.
Yeah, my only concern with that is so when I have dispatchers dispatch, I'm concerned about reloads coming out of there too. I don't want a person to get up there and get stuck.
Yeah, I noticed that the freight is shit coming back out of there. I don't know.
Yes,
It's really good. It's really good going in though, but I don't know. That's your territory.
yeah. So it depends on where we send you, where we decide to send you, coming out, and they want to be regional, 150 mile radius, maybe 200, because they want to be home either every night or every other night at the most, and then in a radius of 200 miles, up to 200 miles. I'll say between 150 and 200. So I'll say let's meet it in the middle, 175. And then good paying freight going into and out of. So our job is not to keep you stuck in an area. You want to make sure that the guys get home by the next day, or same day or next day. So
Okay.
yeah. So I just wanted to get some feedback. So I'm going to be sending you some dispatchers to have a conversation with you, so you can see if you guys are in agreement there. I just wanted them to hear your voice and what your requirements were.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's fine. And then on top of that, do you know, you said it would be maybe $8,000 grossing, you said, or that was the market right now, right? And then there's also they're going to be running regional. So do you think it'll be less than that, or?
It's probably going to be less. Well, sometimes some short runs pay higher rates. Depends on who the suppliers are, who the manufacturers and distributors are, and the customers are, and also who the broker is, depending on whether or not they are greedy. Because so as dispatchers, we have a lot of dynamics to deal with, particularly the brokers.
Right.
So, so on average, I would say for those dry vans running regional, I would say maybe 5 to 7, maybe 8.
5 to 7.
Yeah, 6 with a 6,000 being average, 6,500 perhaps. So it depends, and also depends on which direction. So if we're going into the Northeast, it may pay well towards that 6,000 or 7,000, but then getting out, you may just average out enough just to pay for the fuel, which would make sense. So I would rather send to the Midwest, which has a high volume of inbound and outbound freight, like in Ohio somewhere, and then coming in and out. So these are things that we would have to factor in and decide if we can even provide that service for you. You want to make sure that before I even send someone your way, we want to make sure that we have your requirements and we're capable of meeting them. So.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So,
yeah. All right. Was that all you need from me then?
Yeah, that's all I needed from you, buddy. Thank you a lot.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. You have a good one.
All right. All right. All right, guys. Surprise. When I first came on the training, I called Matthew, but he just called back. So that was an hour ago, I think. Right. When we first came in, I think a few guys were in here. I think Mr. Alexander, I forgot the other gentleman's name, was on here. And I was calling him and he never answered the phone. But I figured he was going to call back while we were Mr. McKenzie. That's right, we were on the phone. So anyway, he has 2 drive-in trailers, 2 drivers, and he wants to stay That's a segue, by the way. Let's segue into that. Let's get on the load board real quick and just kind of give an example of how we would attack that, and then see if anybody's interested in that. Because I don't want to send him a dispatcher who's not going to perform. And I can't say that you guys, I don't know if you guys can or cannot, but you guys at least need a chance, right? So I'm at a crossroads, a balancing act right here. Carrie, who's interested in us, but I need to find a dispatcher who can provide and cover the interest, right? So I'm at a balance right there, right? And I need dispatchers who, if you're first time, get that experience, but I don't want to lose the carrier and be dissatisfied with the service. So you see the position I'm in? So, but let's go to the, so I'm trying to satisfy both ends. So, but it's a balancing act, and it's been going on for 4 years. So, so it's cool. Let's get into the load board real quick. I am in a load board called DAT, D-A-T. For those of you here for the first time, DAT, dial a truck. One of the top load boards. DAT, truck stop, 123. So he is based in Pittsburgh. So let's do a search for a load. Okay. And let's open this one up and delete it. All right. So dry van. Okay. He's in the Pittsburgh area. Pittsburgh, PA. Okay. I'm going to go through this slowly as far as the navigating of the load board for those of you who are looking at this for the very first time, right? So we just had a real carrier call us. I had this, he contacted me about 2 days ago, and we had a conversation. And I told him, I said, on Sunday, I'm going to bring this to my training to see, you know, what the dispatchers think and if it's possible to do this, right? Before we even entertain contacting you, Mr. Matthew, and then going from there. So I put my phone back on the charger. So when you first come into a load board, you want to put the equipment type in, either standard, where it says any, or you can click over here and get more detail of the equipment types, more options, right? So I selected only dry van. He had 2 dry vans. So origin is where loads are being picked up, usually the origin of the carrier, where they want to start from, their starting point. Well, he said he's out of the Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area. Okay. And so we want to look at starting points, shippers coming out. The origin is where you pick up loads, or the carrier picks up the loads from a shipper or from a consignor, right? Another name you'll see on paperwork is the consignor. C-O-N, let me spell that out for you. Consignor, or origin, or shipper. Okay. So is this information good so far? Everything that we're going over? Okay. So that's the origin. He says he wants to run regional. So there's several ways to do this, right? So you can do it by city, state. You can do it by city, state, states, or zones, right? So let's open up a map real quick. Let's go to the map. And he even said New York, but he says crap coming out of there, right? So let me minimize this and go to our tools and resources. Okay. And map indicators. So we can either look at this one. Let's look at this one. And right here. So is that a good enough view for you guys? Right? He's out of Pittsburgh right here. Can you guys see that? Let me put it one more time. $175. There we go. 175%. So he's out of Pittsburgh right there. He wants to go regional, maybe 175, 200-mile radius. okay? And he even said even going up to New York and Massachusetts, but it's crap coming out of there. So that's the danger of dispatching, where you want to be cautious of where you send your carriers into, even though it pays well, but you may have an issue getting out of there, and then they'll be stuck. And remember, one of his requirements is he wants the carriers home either every night or every other night, same day or the next day, right? So that's a requirement. That could have been in a carrier profile that he would have sent back if one of you would have sent the dispatcher packet to him. He would have put in the comments, hey, I want my carriers home every night or every other night. So now you have to factor that in when you're searching for loads, right? So I said a 200-mile radius, right? Or maybe more. So Pittsburgh. So I told him send him to the Midwest, Ohio, maybe Michigan, maybe as far as Indianapolis, and then circle around maybe down to Kentucky. So I'm going to put Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky in the states, maybe West Virginia, maybe the tip of Virginia, and Pittsburgh itself, and then upstate New York. So I'm going to put that in the load search. Okay. Right. Brian made a good point. He'll lose his driver messing with NYC. Hopefully he meant upstate. Yeah, so we'll put New York in there, Brian, but we'll only look at upstate cities like Syracuse, maybe Buffalo, things of that nature, right? Rochester, not too high up, Binghamton, right here, right? So going back to the load, right? Our origin is Pittsburgh. Our destination, we're going to put the different states, right? What states did we say? We said Pennsylvania. We said New York. I'm going to write them down first. Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Michigan, right? Let's just put those in. 3, 6, okay? Just for that, right? So let's go back to the load board and put those in. Pennsylvania, Ohio, and I'm abbreviating. Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, Kentucky, Indiana, and Michigan. Right, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, bam. So it put them in there also in alphabetical order, right? I think. Yeah, it did. So IN is Indiana, KY is Kentucky, MI is Michigan, NY is New York, OH is Ohio, and PA is Pennsylvania. You guys see what we just did there? We put them in there by states, right? Because you could put them in by zones, states, or specific city state, right? And let's do a pickup day. Let's say Monday. Today is Sunday. Let's start off Monday, right? We could do multiple days, Monday, Tuesday, just to see. Okay. Radius, 150, let's say 200-mile radius. Or the pickup will be, let's say the pickup will be a standard pickup radius, 100 miles. The delivery will be 200-mile radius. Okay. So he has a dry van, so he wants a full truckload, a partial, or both. Let's just say full. Want to keep it full so he can maximize his potential profit margin, right? 53 feet dry van, and we'll be fair with it. We'll say 40,000 pounds on the load. If we put nothing there, then he may get some maximum loads, but maybe he'll potentially get some maximum money. So if we leave it blank, it'll put potentially up to the maximum of the trailer weight, which is 45,000 pounds, right? So let's just do that. Let's leave it blank. Let's leave the feet blank. We know it's 53 feet. We'll put 53 in there. If you leave it blank, it'll say 53 or below. If you put 53 in here, it'll only give you loads specifically for 53-foot trailers, which you could lose a load because a load could be smaller and still paying a good rate. So let's not put that in there, okay? And then search back. I'm going to do half the time of the total value, 6 hours, so half of that is 3 hours back. And let's see what we get, okay? So we got 380 loads. Okay, 380 results, 94 of which are exact matches. And then the other are the difference, are the similar matches. right here, 286. Similar matches, but I want to stick with the 94 exact, right? So the first thing I do in here, when I get a result set from a search feature on the load board, when I do a search for a load and hit search, whatever you see is what's called the result set, right? Which is all these loads, 380. That's the result set. I usually go to the rate column if it's one on a particular load board and click the rate to put the posted rates in numerical order from highest to lowest. Okay, I'll click that, and now we got this here. Okay, so now we got some loads. Now we got to do is just determine as a dispatcher what we're going to do. So this one here, this first one looks interesting. It is the age of it. So I'm going to break down each column too. And then we'll get into discussing how we run this and see if we can maximize its potential. So the age is how long was the load posted? How long has it been posted? This one's been 58 minutes, right? Pickup, this one is tomorrow, Monday, because we put pickup either Monday or Tuesday, okay? The truck or the equipment type needed for this particular shipment or load is a van, V. The type of shipment, is it a full, partial, or both? This is F for full. It's a full truckload, okay? Everybody with me so far? Right, everybody with me? Make sure I'm still good, okay. So, the next one is DH-O. Deadhead, how far from the origin does a driver have to drive deadhead or empty from their current position to the shipper location, the origin? Well, our search was Pittsburgh. This load is picking up in Southwest PA, which is 39 miles from Pittsburgh. That's what that means, okay? That's a short distance. It looks like it's a round trip because it's going from PA to PA, so it must be going up somewhere and coming back, right? We'll know what it is once we go into the details of the load, okay? Deadhead destination, there is nothing because it's a circle. It's a round trip, if you call it, okay? The company is usually the freight broker who posted the load here. In this case, it's Circle Logistics. Their contact information. The length of the trailer is 53 feet. The weight of the shipment or load is 30,000 pounds in this example, okay? CS stands for the credit score. That's what CS stands for, credit score of the broker. 97, that's not bad. DTP stands for the days to pay of the broker. What does that mean? How long after a delivery has been made by a truck driver at the receiver does the broker have to pay up to pay the carrier? They have up to 21 days in this case, which is not bad. But if your carrier is working with a factoring company, most factoring companies pay you same day or next day, depending on the time of day that your carrier delivered. If your carrier delivered before a certain time, cutoff time, they can get paid the same day by the factoring company. Otherwise, it's the next day. So if your carrier has a factoring company, you can ignore this because you're leveraging your carrier is going through their factoring company to get the money. This is here assuming if your carrier did not have a factoring company. Okay? So we're on the same page. And then right here, this factor check means does the broker factor their most brokered loads are factored loads. Most brokerages have factoring companies. Why do you think they're able to offer quick pay and ACH wire transfers? Because they're leveraging a factoring company and they're passing that cost to the carrier in the form of charging them a certain percentage to be able to pay them quicker, to help them cover their expense of factoring. That's what brokers do, okay? And then here's their posted rate, what they're paying for that. Let's see what this is. Let's see if there's any details. So if you click any open space on any of these loads, it'll open and provide the data more specifically for that, okay? So this says, only thing it says is the commodity. In other words, what's being hauled in the trailer, food products. There's nothing extra in here, like any comments. There's no comments here. There's no comments here. So if you were curious about this and was interested in at least getting some details about it, you would call the broker and ask them about it. Hey, I see a load on Monday, Southwest PA to Southwest PA. It's and there's no trip miles. Is that a round trip? It's paying $2,000, but what's going on with that? Right? You would call them and see, right? So now you have a broker to spot market right here, 371, 438. It looks like it's some kind of short run, right? But you would $2,000, I would think it's going somewhere, because if it's paying $2,000 and if it's still doing a short run, I would do multiple of those runs. But so you would call them and trying to get some more details about that one. Okay, that one's up in the air. This next one, 1,300, is picking up in New Kensington, Pennsylvania, which is 24 miles from Pittsburgh. So it's a short distance for them to drive, Matthew and his company driver, to New Kensington, but it's going to Scotia, New York. So how is that, upstate New York, or where is that? So how would you know what Scotia, New York is on here? It's 462 miles and it's paying 1,300, right? So what is that cents per mile? How do you calculate cents per mile? You take what the rate is paying divided by the number of miles. So we share the calculator real quick. And we'll take that number, 1,300, that the load was paying, and divide it by 462 miles. $2.81 a mile, not bad. Right? Someone said 267. Did I do my numbers wrong? 1,300 divided, Sheila, 1,300. Okay, yeah, 281. $2.81.
Are you counting the deadhead?
No, because it's less than 25 miles.
Oh, okay. I counted the deadhead.
So if you would have counted the deadhead, so what Sheila is saying is,
267.
what Sheila's saying, and what she did is she put the deadhead, which is 24 miles, plus the 462 of the trip or the loaded miles, which gave her 486. And then she took that and 1,300 divided by the 486, and that gave her 267. Because she included
Still not bad, huh?
Still not bad. No, you're right. She just included the deadhead miles. Okay. So, Renita, got your hand raised.
Yeah, just right quick, like about how she added the deadhead miles. Like, under what circumstance would it be if it's outside of how much deadhead they're willing to run, that you would just add that in there or factor that in there?
For me, if it's 50 miles or maybe 75 miles or more, they have to deadhead from where their current position is, their 20, to a shipper pickup location. Then I'm going to include, because you're driving, even though you're driving empty, you are still burning diesel fuel for 75 miles. So I would include that deadhead miles along with the trip miles to get some total miles. And then I would divide that into the rate of whatever the broker is paying.
Okay.
In order to see what a true cents per mile is.
Okay, because I know like some drivers, they have a thing where it's like they don't want to do more than 100, miles of deadhead, and so I was thinking maybe factor in anything over that.
So I'm glad you said that. So 100 miles deadhead. Let me share the calculator. Why don't they want to do 100 miles deadhead? Because they're burning fuel. So how many miles per gallon does a standard semi truck go on average?
By 6.
6.5. So let's say 6. Everybody threw 6 out there. So if you take 100 miles deadhead, 100 miles, let's say the deadhead was 100 miles, and you divide it by 6 miles to the gallon for a standard semi truck, that's going to tell you how many gallons you're going to need of diesel to run that. That's 16, let's say 17. Let's round it up to 17. 17 miles, 17 gallons, I'm sorry. And since we're using this first example of Pittsburgh, how much is diesel fuel coming out of the Pittsburgh area? How much per gallon is diesel coming out of that area, or whatever area you're in, right? $3.80, $4, whatever that amount is, right? Let's say it's $4 diesel coming out of Pittsburgh. Then you'll take times $4 a gallon That's $68. That's an extra $68 that they're gonna have to pay just to run empty 100 miles to get to a shipper location to pick up a potential load to be paid for and drive however many miles you got to go. You see? So that's why that's why drivers want to keep their deadhead miles as minimal as possible, because they're trying to save on what?
On fuel.
Exactly. Okay. So
Okay.
you understand?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So with this load, let's go back to the, can you guys see the load board? Okay. So the second one was the 1300. We open it up. So it says it needs 3 bars or straps, no reefer. So this is a van load, right? Here's the reference number of it. So when your driver, if you were to book this load for your driver and they get to a shipping location, they would give the reference number to the people at the security place or wherever and say, I'm here to pick up load reference number 309-24579. And they'll say, oh yeah, that load is at gate or load dock number 7. Go ahead and whatever, right? They're checking in. And then the driver would need to have 3 load bars. It should have said load bars. The long load bars would go from one side of the trailer to the other side of the trailer and snap in and secure the freight. And or straps, because they want to strap the pallets in. That ratchets it. It hooks up to the E-tracks. You pull the string and then you ratchet it to tighten it up. Boom, 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 boom. And it secures the pallets, right? And they said no reefers, straight drive-ins. But the question was, where is Scotia, New York? So if you go to the map here, you see where I click that 462 link and it's showing me where in New York is it going. So is it going to the island or is it going, so upstate New York? It's like upstate New York, right? Because there's Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse right here, Utica. So it's going right there. So it's not going to the island. Look, there's the island right there with Brooklyn, all the boroughs right there. So you're not dealing with that. You're not dealing with that type of traffic. You're going upstate New York, going through Scranton, Pennsylvania, going up there, and then you're going to hit right here. So it's upstate. So that's a possibility as far as New York. So when Matthew just said going into New York is good, but it's going to be crazy coming out. Well, it depends on where you're going, right? In this case, it's going upstate. You may have a chance of grabbing something, right? So let's go back to that. Load here. And see, so it's paying on average $3.30 a mile for 1,300. Ours was, so this is what the market is paying. Broker to carrier spot market, the market is saying between $3.24 to $3.38 per mile with an average of $3.30 per mile. So they're paying on average $1,500. The broker posted this for $225 less than what the average pays for the market. You guys see that? Right? You just subtract 1,300 from the average $525 per trip. That's $2,000. That's $225. So the broker's trying to eat more money out of that, right? The low end of that, $3.24, they're not even giving the low end of that, $3.24. So what's $3.24 times the trip on this mile, 462? So let's bring the calculator up again and do that. Because that's the low end range, $3.24. That's according to the market. $3.24 times 462. That's paying $14.96, $14.97, close to $1,500 flat. So that's $200 less than what the broker posted it for. So the broker is greedy because they're not even giving you they're $200 away from the minimum of the range of what the market dictates for that particular lane, a lane or a line haul, right? So they're giving you less than that. So these are some of the techniques and strategies you would use to kind of negotiate with the broker. Hey, you're outside of the market range. You're like $200 I need an extra 200 or whatever, right? When you start negotiating with them, you don't tell them how you know it. Hey, according to DAT, I'm looking at DAT and the broker the spot is saying this. You don't got to say all that. You just say, hey, you're $200 away from what we would consider taking this load for, $1,500. You got to post it for 13. And then you got to, in addition to that, you got to add your, let's say 10% as a dispatch fee. So if you go off the posted rate of the broker number, right? 13 at 10%, that's $130. So 130 plus 1,300, what is that? $1,430. And then you round it up to 1,500 to get within the range, the minimum of the range, $3.24. So having these analytics in your possession or in front of you can kind of help you in your negotiating power, right? With dealing with loads and stuff like that. So, and then another thing, it's 44,000 pounds. So that's another thing you have to bargain with. It's 1,000 pounds short of the maximum weight of the trailer. And it's going to upstate New York from out of Pennsylvania. So you're pulling max weight just about, right? That's another negotiating tool. Even though they included fuel surcharge, so this is an all-in rate. They included the fuel surcharge at 48 cents, right? So other things. And then another thing you have to consider as a dispatcher is, do I have anything coming out of there? What's the backhaul? What's coming out of there? What's coming out of Scotia, New York, heading either back to Pennsylvania or all points elsewhere? Okay. All right, guys, we have reached our time limit. Does 123 load board show this shipper to broker contract? On the premium plus version, I believe it does. Jennifer, Renita said, no, don't stop. Well, I'm sorry, we usually do 2 hours on the trainings just to get you guys acclimated. If you guys like this information, type a 1 in the chat. And so this is something to consider for, we may have found something for the gentleman and his 2 dry vans, sending them to different areas. So when you're looking for loads, you want to consider going into somewhere, a line haul, as well as a back haul, what's called a reload coming out of it to maximize the revenue and the bottom line for the carrier. And they'll love you for that. Okay. They'll definitely love you for that. All right. How many people in here are guests here as a guest? Which load is best for box trucks? Which load board is best for box trucks? My virtual fleet, I've always seen, and select this. Any guests in here for the very first time? No one's a guest. Okay. Oh, we have one for if you recently. Oh, we got people who recently enrolled, but 2. So no guests. So people type of 2 if you're a guest. No one's a guest. But people who recently enrolled. So I got to consider who I'm going to give Matthew to. Laverne, you're in Pennsylvania. I know Chaucer's in Pennsylvania as well, I believe. I'm looking up his information here that I have on my phone. Yeah, Matthew Lindsay Transport. Okay, yeah. Yeah, let me talk to him a little bit more. Someone said, what do you think about partnership in dispatching, going in the business with a partner? Yeah, if you got 2 parties who come to an agreement to do that, I have no problem with it. It's between the 2 parties. And what can each party bring to the table for the other? You understand what I'm saying? So it's just a value add. what is the status of the cold calling on Fridays during August? Okay, Chasa, are you here? Okay, Legacy got off. So
Yeah, I
Legacy,
think she just left, Charles.
yeah, so Legacy Dispatchers was on here, and she said this past Friday, only one person showed up. She got like 17 emails, but only one person showed up for the cold calling for Legacy Dispatchers.
That is bad because I was waiting with my sister to see if she can send like a Zoom link or something, and we never received nothing.
So do you have her contact information or email? Did you reach out?
She sent her the email, and I sent her email later, but I didn't receive a response. I thought because I sent it too late, it was full already. So I told my sister, check on your junk mail or something just in case. But she checked and nothing was there.
Okay, so for her the next Friday, so she has them, I think, every Friday.
Every Friday during August.
From 1 to 4, something like that, or 2 to 4?
4 to 6, I think it was.
4 to 6. So every Friday from 4 to 6, Chasa. She said Lewis was there. Yeah, Lewis right there. Lewis Jordan was there. It was a good Zoom meeting with Chasa, even though my phone would act right. So 4 to 6. So every Friday, I think she sent out her credentials. Here, I'm gonna put her email in here one more time. Legacy Dispatchers at gmail.com. And she's doing it for free. Go in there, get some practice. If you go in there, it's with the hopes of you actually going to be on the phone calling carriers and getting that experience, whether you get a good experience or not. She got a flatbed carrier. I don't know if Mr. Lewis got a carrier or not, but she said she picked up a flatbed carrier. It can't hurt. Yeah, so she does it every Friday for the month of August. And then her and I are going to have on the 29th, that Tuesday. Now you do have to register for that one if you're interested. The Low Board Master Seminar. So, Sergio, question. Sergio, yeah.
So I have a question. I live in Northeast. What would this be a good market for sprinters and cargo van drivers?
If you link up with Amazon Cargo and Sprinter Van, Amazon Flex, or some kind of expedited dynamic, it would be Northeast. Where in the Northeast are you? Like Rhode Island, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts?
Jersey.
You're in Jersey?
Yes.
Okay, so you're kind of like in a hub area.
New York.
You can go north. You can go north to those further northeastern states. You can go west towards the Midwest, and you can go south towards the southeastern, like DC, Maryland. So yeah, you're in a good position. I'm not sure if it's for your equipment type particularly, but you're in a good spot. So,
well, the idea is to have my lady as a dispatcher, and then have a driver with a cargo van that we're going, and a sprinter that we are going to have a driver for.
Okay, I would even get with because I know everybody in their areas have like Home Depots and Lowe's and these different furniture places where you can become an independent contractor for them when they need, their customers order certain products, little small packages or little small items from those particular, even something big like a washing machine or something. Contract with them to become a contractor. So when they order the products, you'll be available to pick that up and deliver it to the customers, either residential or commercial. Consider that as well. Not necessarily on the low boards, but even the direct suppliers, right?
Right.
Yeah, consider going to them.
Okay.
Because you have an equipment. How many do you have? How many Sprinter vans and cargo vans do you have?
Just one, but we eventually would like to go into two, just because we wanted to go with a 3 biggest equipment, but the thing is the parking. The parking is a problem. So since we have space for cargo vans, we decided to go with cargo vans, the largest and the biggest, right, in the cargo van area. So that's what we want to do.
Are you near Trenton?
Well, I'm in York, so Trenton is my, It's like about a mile. What is it? Trenton's about 40 minutes away, I think, or 35 minutes away.
Yeah, I was gonna say Newark, New Jersey, so you're closer to the okay, yeah. There should be some parking over there, some stops over there. I'm trying to remember. I have to look it up. It escapes me now, but I have to look it up.
Okay. Well, I'll send you some information just because the thing is, I would like to start with a what do you call it? No, not with a cargo van, with a semi. But the issue is the parkings. I've called some truck parking spots, and they don't even have a spot for the past 3-4 months.
Or start with a middle, go to middle ground between a Sprinter van, cargo van, and a semi, which is a box truck, 26-foot box truck, maybe.
Okay.
Consider that. So it's smaller than a semi, so you can get to those neighborhoods to do residential and commercial, and it's bigger than a Sprinter van where you can provide more capacity, more shipments in the box truck. So it's kind of a middle ground,
Okay.
just something to consider.
Done. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, but then that's a good idea. Somebody said that's a good idea for you. Open a truck parking lot. So truck stops for parking is very much needed these days. So does container storages, especially in the port cities, have extra because all these other container storage facilities out here, they're out of capacity, they're over capacity, which is at some point that's illegal because you can only have your facility holds so much. So if you over capacity, they're going to come in and shut you down or say you got to meet the capacity and get rid of this stuff and put it somewhere else. So if you come in and you know there's a market for that and you provide this extra facility, you can take their overcapacity containers or storages or items and put them in your facility and eat off of that. Someone said they had a question. Who was that?
I do, AJ.
Okay, go ahead.
So question, I paid for my LLC, but like I said earlier, I'm in Florida. So right now they're on a delayed situation, and anything that we paid from, just say I paid about a week ago, they're not posting anything, and my computer ended up shutting down right when I got to the end and submitted it, so I couldn't print out the articles of organization that I paid extra to get on the sunbiz.org, and so now I'm basically a waiting game. How much of limitations do I have to do anything without showing that I'm established on sunbiz.org?
If you are established and you got an email of it, or you go into a portal, you see it, but you just can't print it, it's there, it exists, you're good. You just gotta be able to. Is that the case? You log into their portal, you see your articles of organizations. You just can't.
No, they're not showing it yet because they're on a delayed system. So they say if we receive an email from Northplate, they received it. So I got the email from Northplate, basically from their email to say that 160 or 125 for the registration was submitted and approved, but it just be expecting a delay on them posting it on sunbiz.org in Florida. Okay,
but you are official. They just don't get the official paperwork copies to you.
Yeah, they're not. That's on a delay on a delayed system until I don't know further notice. So I keep checking back on there on a daily basis, but nothing is showing up yet.
I would have them like email me that. Just tell them, like, whoever's in charge of that process, have them send me an email saying that I'm good. I just don't have the physical receipt of it, but I am legitimately set up as a business. That way you have an email or a documented, an electronic footprint of that. You just don't got the copy of it yet. So then you're still official.
Okay. And you think that will allow me to then open a business bank account, or as long as I got the EIN number, that will work?
It depends on what the requirements of the business of the bank account is.
Okay.
Of the bank. Okay. Some banks like to see they want to see the articles of organization. They want to see the business license. They want to see maybe a W-9. Some others don't. Okay. So it depends on what requirements you have.
Okay.
Well, that bank has, I should say.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, as far as the bank part, yeah, it is. I would hold off on that. But as far as you getting started, learning the dispatch process, trying to get a carrier, you're fine there. But as far as opening up the business bank account. I guess the reason why you want to hold off on that too, because how will you get paid? You're going to get paid by the carrier, but then you want the funds to go into your business bank account. So I guess you're kind of in a catch-22 situation here.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I'm on a waiting game because I won't be able to open the bank account so my funds can go there because I don't want to mix it with my personal account.
Right. Now, I did that before years ago, but I don't recommend that. When I first started, I didn't have a business bank account for a while, so I had a couple of carriers pay me to my personal. But then when I got my business account up with the same bank that I was banking with, I just transferred the funds over there and just had my CPA deal with that. So all right, guys. We're over the time. I know Donna's gonna cuss me out. I already see it coming. But thank you for your time. There's 34 of us in here. Everybody kind of stayed too. That's good. So our next training will be Wednesday, the 9th of August. We're already in August. This year is going by quick. So, and I'm gonna continue with Matthew's transport just to see what else he needs and how we can provide a service for him. Let me save the chat and see if we can provide a service for him and see if it's back and forth. I'm going to be looking for loads for him too, and then I'll just, if we give it to someone, I'll try my best to because I have to. The reason I say I try my best is because time is an enemy of me as far as being busy and stuff like that. But I'll try my best to assist, and we'll assist any dispatcher in our Facebook groups and because we're here to help each other. You know, we don't just help you get a carrier and then just leave you in the dark. We just want to say no. So, but Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the next training. On our website is located our Zoom training calendar. I put a more legible August calendar up here. So, ding, 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 ding. There it is. So it's very clear now. So, but August 6 p.m. Today we had this one 6 p.m. Eastern, and then Saturday at noon. If anything changes, I will send out to our Facebook group, in our chat, in our group, a cancellation or anything like that, and via email in some cases as well. So, okay. And this recording will be in our portal later on today or early tomorrow. Where is that located? In the back office, you ask, for those who don't know. In our back office, under the column that says Tools, Docs, Resources, Training Video Library, it'll be under the month of, well, we're in August, so we just started August. You click that. This is where all of our recordings are from our past trainings, right? And it'll be grouped in the month of August. So this is the first one of August of this year. So I'm scrolling down to August training videos. So August 27th, 2022 will be bumped over to this place, and today's video will be here. So from left to right is the most recent videos and most recent year. Okay, so it'll be there. And all these videos, over 300 some videos back here that you can go back and get so much content for yourself. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a safe weekend. I will see you on Wednesday. Any questions, of course, you reach out to me. Text and email, call, and so. Okay. Appreciate it. And welcome, Jeremy. Hopefully you got your money's worth. Welcome,
Sure.
Nolan. Welcome to you too. First day. Everything good with you? Hey, Nolan, I don't want you to take this wrong way, Nolan, but when I see you right now, your face right there, you look like Styles P. You look like Styles P. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that Styles P here? I got a celebrity here. But welcome, guys. Good luck on your journey. We're here for as long as you have us. All right? Take it easy.
Good to hear, everybody.